Well,
Okay.
Do we have the
I show 4 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting of the special meeting of the EVIT Governing Board to order and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and
liberty and
justice
justice for all. That brings us to call to the public. Dr. Wilson, do we have anything there?
No, sir, we do not.
Under agenda item number 4, the Power Road Power Expansion. Dr. Wilson.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, first of all, let me thank you for pulling together on such short notice and late in the afternoon, as there's a lot on everybody's plate, so it's very much appreciated. Quickly, we've been trending our schedule to come to you at the end of June for GMP 2.3, which would have been GMP 2.3, which would have been the last GMP for the Power Campus expansion. But in talking with our architects and the construction company, one of the growing concerns is the escalating cost of materials, as well as being able to get in the queue and get materials ordered and delivered in time to meet the timeline for our opening of the campus in August of 2022. In addition to that, we have the opportunity to do one of the small renovations in the cosmetology building that would happen with GMP 2.3 sometime in the fall, but space has become available to do it now for our cosmetology, for us to add an extra lab for next school year, which is desperately needed because our enrollment is just exploding out there in cosmetology. So after speaking with the architects and the construction company, one of the suggestions they had, which I agreed with, is that we come to you first for a GMP 2.3.1, which is what we're here for today, which is just to have the authorization to procure things like masonry, steel, joists, things that we know we're going to need in the project, regardless of the outcome of 2.3, now 2.3.2, as well as having the material that we need to do the renovation in the Cosmo building for August. Their concern is if we wait until the end of June, which is when we're trending towards, that we would be out of the queue in order to get the material in time to keep the timeline, and they wouldn't be able to do the renovation in time for August of 2021 to open this year for the cosmetology. So today we're just here asking you to approve the dollars as described. What will happen is when we come back to you at the end of June for the 2.3.2, the final GMP for the Power Campus expansion, the material and dollar amount that is being asked to be approved tonight will be subtracted out of that final amount, and they'll chart it so you see that we're still on track to stay within the 38 million. And so this amount will just be deducted from what would normally have been there at the end of June in the GMP 2.3. So that's what we're here for today.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Also move, Mr. Covington.
Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Is there any discussion?
I would like to ask Jeff if this is a normal contract. It seems, like usual things, since you have more experience than us on these contracts. Need to unmute.
Okay.
I don't think you heard the question.
My mouse was on a different screen. No, I heard the question. So there are commercial contracts, and these type of contracts are typically have all sorts of clauses in them, a variety of clauses. The only question I had, I understand the material information in here. Material's going crazy, so it makes sense to acquire it now, even if it's earlier than we would, rather than a couple weeks down the road. Week before last, I was with a steel supplier in Yuma County, and his bids are good for 3 days, free.
Yeah.
So if you want a bid, you get it today. If you don't commit within 3 days, no good. So I understand that. The only question I had here was the labor. And that's the only thing I haven't seen before. Rising labor costs. Every business runs into that. I'm not sure how that plays out, but it certainly makes sense to acquire the material sooner rather than later. I understand that, but other than that, it all looks, since we're going to be coming back as well, we can ask some additional questions, but I'm good about them grabbing grabbing material before waiting, or it's going to be gone.
Right. And to your point that, and you saw that in the note that was sent by McCarthy that,
Right.
they only have 15 days. They're only holding the quote for 15 days. And so even if
Right.
the quote they get today will not be good by the end of June. And so they're
Right.
wanting to capture it as soon as they
Right,
can.
yeah. So the deal, the thing is that typically on some of these contracts, you run into a thing, you have we used to call it years ago, PERT principle, first, line things up. They don't call it PERT anymore. They got a whole bunch of other fancy names for this kind of thing. But I would, if I were in business right now doing these kind of projects, I would buy the material all up front.
Mhm.
Even if my business had to overextend a little bit to wait, or they're going to be killed. So it makes a lot of sense to me. So I know I'm droning on, but it's brutal with some of these guys, the material cost changes. So.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Call the question.
I didn't hear what you said.
Then I'll call the question. We're all in favor of this.
Ms. Boggs, will you call for the vote?
Yep, I will. Covington,
Aye.
Fleetham,
Aye.
Hobson,
Aye.
Watkins,
Aye.
Boggs is an aye.
Motion carried. That brings up item 5, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
I'll second. Ms. Boggs, will you call for the vote?
Yes, Covington,
Aye.
Fleetham,
Aye.
Hobson,
Aye.
Watkins,
Aye.
and Boggs is an aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all
All
again. I
right.
appreciate
All I
it.
can
Thank you
do
much.
is all have a good weekend.
You
Take
too.
it
Be
easy.
safe.
You.
Be
Bye.
safe.